about 4 or 5 years now.
Right. You see, let me say this to you, and let me give it to. I could talk straight because that's what it is. Instead of borrowing money to give Diageo, I would have built a sports complex. That's me. I would have seen the value in investing in your people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I understand the investment there, or I disagree with it. But when I went to Puerto Rico and I was up in these, what do they call, sky boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they recognized me as an official, and they recognized me as the Senate President, and they recognized me as having, a title. So they gave me the best red carpet treatment. The facility was just impeccable. They have a facility that they were able to broadcast live on WAPA TV to everybody in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
They had media places. When I went in the room, they have computers for you to type. So you could send your press release out, hook up to the internet, fast internet. When you go down on the track, they have the best timing equipment right after the race that Allison ran a course race and she won it, right? And it was a photo finish because she catch the girl from the back. And people here need to see the determination and the effort these athletes are put in, because Allison come off the turn 5th place in the 200 and had to catch those girls. The last 2 steps, she catch them and lean. So they had, that photo for the finish was up in a minute. We see the photo, we were able, guess nothing. They have the best equipment. So why I said what I said is because I have not seen a commitment from any administration to build sports facilities on this territory and the land that we have to develop our young people.
Do you know that will help with the crime?
I know it will help with the crime. That's why Puerto Rico did that. That's why Puerto Rico got 70-something tracks across all they got track and field going knocking dog.
No, we don't have any.
We ain't got none. We have a dilapidated track at Complex. And the problem about it is people that blame the non-profit group of the Olympic Committee, myself for track and field, blame those of us who are in these non-profit groups for not getting it. And it's not the non-profit group that has the authority. It is the executive branch that does capital projects that should have and now must, I think, promote sports and build the facilities we need. Yeah. And you know what's been the hold-up? I'll tell you what's been part of the hold-up. This desire to always have some public-private partnership. You don't need not public, not private, nothing. It's a public facility. Borrow money. You could do a little tax. I guarantee you, if we were to borrow money and say we put 2 cents on gasoline and tell the people, with this money we borrow, we building a sports complex in Frederickstead. We fixing up education complex. We fixing up Eudora Ken. And we fixing up Charlotte Mali. The people will say, sure, I could pay the tax because I'm going to my children to have a place to participate. That's how people should do it. Anyhow, move on. You go ahead. I'm talking too much. Go ahead.
Another thing is, you see how Jamaica has this athlete on a certain level?
Yes.
And the quantity of athletes that they have?
Yes.
What is it called? Gross national product? Let's make that our gross national product.
Thank you.
We have young people here, right, who probably have a problem in school. They probably walked out of school. Call them back. Bring them back.
That's right.
And get them instituted, get their minds going again. Put them back into sports. We have various sports that they can get themselves involved with.
Right.
Let's set the sport to that level.
That's right. You know what's one of the biggest, and I'm trying to revive it now, the marine fishing industry have a bill. And could you realize that we have water, some of the most beautiful water around us, and a lot of our children going to school can't swim? And I know some people are saying, oh, why is that? No. Listen, Trinidad went on a strong push to develop swimming, okay? And we know it took some time, but they now have a great swimming program. Curacao and Aruba, the same thing. Cuba, the same thing. Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, the marine industry. We're not talking about just in the yacht club up east. No, we're talking about in Frederickstead, in Williams Delight, in any other housing communities, what about giving those young people an opportunity to enjoy the water and marine industry, whether it's diving, swimming, water polo, sailing? I could go down the line. And you could even do the dance and the thing, what do they call it? Synchronized swimming. Just the things that are available. And let me say this to you. I wholeheartedly accept what you're saying. And it's
get up and do it.
Do it right.
Get up and do it.
It's a failure. It's a failure of leadership, including us in the legislature. And that failure is now at the point where you just said, get up and do it.
Get up and get it done. We have it in our hands. We have it right. We're looking at it.
Well, you know,
we're not doing anything.
yeah. Some senators, recently, Senator Usi Richards and some of us supported buying some property in Frederick. Said for that, we passed in this legislature the $2 million to get the sport complex through this private-public partnership. We appropriated money time and time again for the completion of the Eudora Ken High School and for Central and for education complex. But there has to be a commitment from the administration to follow through. We had in 2008, it may have been, where we got the Carifta Games to come here, and because of facility, we had to deny, go back and say we can't do it anymore.
Imagine that.
Yeah, we got, it would bring 32 countries to the Virgin Islands.
Imagine that.
And the Track and Field Federation, with the stature we have in the region, I went down, I make a proposal, they accepted it, they were willing to come. We didn't have a track. We had to go back and say, well, we don't have a facility, and then the Bahamas and Trinidad and Jamaica took it over and made great of the same opportunity that we had, but we didn't have the facility. So you and Target, oh my gracious, I love this call.
I want you to see what you can do in the Senate, even if you're not the chairperson.
Right.
I'm going to be calling the chairperson.
Please
on
call
Monday.
them. Yes. Okay.
And, get him going. Get him going. It's ridiculous.
Right. Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, the calls are beautiful. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Senator.
Landval?
Yeah, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, you know.
Okay.
Talk to me.
I'll hear you from the time you started.
Good.
I was looking forward to it. Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
Point blank.
Yeah.
How far is the process of the legislature buying a radio station?
Far. I talked to 3 owners of frequency, and we were given a quote. One was very high. Another one is within reason, and another one is within reason. What we want to get is a station that would provide us with internet, naturally, and to be accessible, to be possibly moved if it works out into a facility that students will have access. And the frequency would be one that it solves both islands and the whole entire territory with a large enough frequency that anybody, any place could listen to it, okay?
Because, anyway, you already said it's a far off because according to...
No, they're far off. They're close by, but we're there in a budget crisis.
I just want to mention that.
So that I had to... Yeah.
According to what you all are telling the public that
no
money.
I negotiated, and I had to put everything on hold. Okay. Of course. Yeah. But and it would be, you would understand why. I came into the legislature February as I was negotiating heavy, but we put it on hold. And if you don't have the money, you put things like that on hold. But it don't mean that those persons who I spoke to weren't interested, and they won't remain interested. And should the finances or should we have the ability to do it, I will move forward. And these contracts that currently exist, I can renegotiate, or else maybe we don't, things. I don't negotiate. I'll be fair, and I tell people straight up how I think it. So it's not, my view of it is that broadcasting the legislature is not a money-making affair for nobody. It's such a huge public service that's necessary that either we own our own station or somebody want to provide a public service and then sell ads or whatever they want to do. But, things have to be renegotiated. I won't operate under the same premise that has been operated over and over again. And part of the difficulty, I think, is that if you come to work for the legislature, whether you're doing it as central staff or you're doing a contract, and you're working for the legislature, you got to be impartial. Because the legislature is such a highly political institution, you can't take sides because you don't know who you're hurting by taking a particular side or who you're going against. So you come in, and if you're doing a radio station, you got to be impartial. You can't take sides.
Yeah, okay, let's move on a bit.
Okay, good.
I want to say something here, right? And this is just my view.
Yeah, I like your view sometime, and then sometime we don't disagree, but go ahead.
We disagreeing.
Yeah, and that's why I like you to call. Go ahead.
No, this is just my personal view. Concerning, okay, let me put it this way. People in the Virgin Islands, especially St. Croix, one thing I know for sure this morning, they cannot say that the hearing from the legislature is not being aired. Nobody can say that. But I can say that majority of the people will say that they don't hear what's going on because of the weakness of the radio station that the hearing comes on. Now, I personally believe this thing was orchestrated. That people will not complain about the having hearing, but it's not in the ear. But I feel within myself it was a mastermind plan that the people would not get clear understanding of what's really going on in the legislature.
It's a conspiracy to keep the people in the dark.
That's why.
How you feel that way?
You know why I say so?
Yeah, tell me.
There are so many other stations, not 1620 alone, that any corner of the Virgin Islands you go to, you hear them. You understand?
I understand.
I-99.5, I mean, I-95, I mean, just name it. You have so many, even the one that you are now. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
And the hearing is not there, but they gone to the weakest radio station. You understand what I'm saying?
Do you know the status of these radio stations? They're non-profit, you know. They're non-profit educational stations.
Saying, but it's not the legislature part whether they have the power or the frequency that you could hear. But what I'm saying...
We have discussed that with them, so don't think that it's left...
What I am saying, my brother, it is a disadvantage to the wider community that they cannot hear what is going on. We cannot say it's not there. But we're ignorant to what's going on because we cannot hear.
Okay.
Even down to the public access channel,